Daredevil and Bullseye tear through Josie's, fists flying as their fight crashes up the building to the rooftop. Welcome to Cephastock Movie Recaps. Today we delve into the details of Daredevil Born Again Season 1 Episode 1-4 recap. If you're new to this channel, please do subscribe and let us know where you're watching from in the comments section. Your support is greatly appreciated, my dear friend, thank you. The series continues after Daredevil Season 3 with Matt, Foggy, and Karen running their firm, Nelson, Murdock, and Paige. One night, they leave their office, joking on the way to Josie's, reflecting on the dark days ahead. Many officers of the law have retired by now. At Josie's, the night is lively. Matt and Karen share laughs while Foggy flirts with ADA Kirsten McDuffie. The occasion? A bittersweet retirement party for Cherry, a cop feeling left behind as heroes like Daredevil and White Tiger take over Hell's Kitchen. But the gathering is more than just drinks and small talk. It's a window into the shifting city and where everyone stands. Matt and Karen's bond is solidly platonic, comfortable enough to joke about hooking up without any real tension. Beneath the warm atmosphere, the night takes a sharp turn when Foggy steps outside to take a tense call. Matt listens in, hearing his friend try to calm a panicked client, Benny, who insists he's in danger. Foggy downplays it, but Matt knows better. Benny is hiding at Foggy's place after trouble in Red Hook. But now someone dangerous is after him. Benjamin Dex Poindexter, Bullseye. Matt races to help, but Benny has already given up Foggy's location. Before Matt can react, Bullseye strikes, shooting Foggy in the chest at Josie's, right in front of a horrified Karen. Chaos erupts. Bystanders panic as Dex tears through the building, killing mercilessly. Daredevil arrives just in time to stop Karen's fate. Daredevil and Bullseye tear through Josie's, fists flying as their fight crashes up the building to the rooftop. But the real battle is below. Karen clings to Foggy, begging him to stay with her as he bleeds out. Matt's super hearing picks up every desperate word, splitting his focus. He's fighting Dex, but his mind is with Foggy, dying in Karen's arms. He pummels Bullseye relentlessly before hurling him off the roof. Dex slams into the pavement below, but he somehow survives. Daredevil falls to his knees, overwhelmed by grief, and drops his mask, a silent farewell to his vigilante life. But Cherry happens to be there, realizing the truth. Matt Murdock is Daredevil. 1 year later, Matt has left Daredevil behind, choosing a lawful path. In the background, the TV hums. New York's mayoral race is heating up, with 15 candidates vying for power. Wilson Fisk returns to New York, fresh from his Echo ordeal, and his presence is immediately felt. But while he was away, his wife, Vanessa Fisk, wasn't idle. She took charge of his empire, proving herself a sharp, ruthless leader. In a tense meeting with the 5 families, she commands respect, effortlessly mediating disputes.
The collective return on this month.
When Fisk arrives, the crime bosses quickly disperse, sensing a shift in power. Vanessa's welcome is cold. She reminds Fisk that while he was off recovering, she was left to clean up the mess. And she didn't just maintain their empire, she made it untouchable. But Fisk has changed. He confides in Vanessa about his journey of self-rebuilding and his vision for the city. To achieve it, he must sever all criminal ties. Vanessa is stunned. After all her work, he's walking away? Fisk calmly reveals his next move. He's gathered enough signatures to run for mayor of New York. The Kingpin has his sights set on City Hall.
It's time.
On the BB Report, hosted by Genia Walton's BB Urich, relative of the late Ben Urich, street interviews confirm what many feared. Daredevil is gone and the city is suffering. Meanwhile, Matt's legal career is flourishing. He and Kirsten now lead a respected firm. But success doesn't erase the past. Foggy's death still haunts him, and it's clear during his emotional testimony at Dex's trial. When Karen arrives, he straightens up, trying to hide the weight he carries. Yet, Matt clings to faith in the justice system. Bullseye shows no remorse and the verdict is swift.
Hereby sentenced to life in prison.
11 consecutive life sentences, no parole. Justice is served, but peace still feels far away. It's sad to see the state of Matt's relationship with Karen when they chat after the trial.
My friend died too, Matt.
She now lives in San Francisco, keeping her distance. Not just because Matt reminds her of Foggy, but because he wasn't there when she needed him most. Matt has a habit of disappearing, and Karen, grieving in her own way, barely speaks to him now. Matt admits he can't be Daredevil anymore. He failed when it mattered most. Before leaving, Karen hands him a small red pyramid ceramic she found at Josie's, believing it might be important to him. Later at home, Matt hears the news. Wilson Fisk, now the mayoral frontrunner, publicly announces his candidacy, vowing to fix the city. His speech is calculated, almost desperate. Listening from the shadows, Matt feels a familiar unease. Fisk's return isn't just political, it's personal, and Matt knows it. With Sheila Rivera and Buck Cashman by his side, Fisk's campaign thrives on one promise: eliminating vigilantes. Rivera worries about his methods, but Daniel Blake remains confident. Fisk, intrigued by Blake's drive, learns he's been instrumental in collecting signatures for the campaign. Matt is unsettled by Fisk's campaign, hearing the city divided. Some reject a convicted felon as mayor, while others, desperate for change, consider his promises. New York is restless, and Fisk is seizing the moment. One easy way to lighten the mood: Kirsten plays matchmaker. She sets Matt up under the guise of a client meeting, only for him to realize it's actually a date with her friend, Heather Glenn. Matt believes she's seeking legal help.
What are you looking for in legal representation?
While Heather thinks he's there for therapy. Once they catch on to Kirsten's scheme, they're annoyed, but surprisingly they hit it off. Over coffee, playful banter turns into laughter, their chemistry undeniable. Yet even as Matt enjoys the moment, his super hearing keeps tuning into whispers about the mayoral race.
That's not funny.
Back at the office, Matt playfully scolds Kirsten for the setup,
Liar.
but she's unapologetic. She's sure he'll see Heather again. Then business takes over. Cherry, their firm's investigator, reports that many cops eagerly back Fisk. Surprisingly, his campaign funding appears completely legitimate, thanks in part to Vanessa's investments. Matt remains skeptical, he knows Fisk too well. Meanwhile, the BB report hits the streets as Wilson Fisk pushes his campaign, slamming opponents who propose regulating vigilantes.
Getting shot.
He is adamant on getting rid of them completely. After the debate, Matt meets Fisk at Square Diner.
It's okay, Bob.
Over coffee, they catch up. Matt mentions Maya Lopez, recalling how Fisk tried to mentor her, only to end up shot in the face.
Didn't she shoot you in the face?
Fisk admits he recovered. When Matt brings up Poindexter's attack and Foggy's death, Fisk insists he had no involvement.
I had nothing to do with his death. I kept that.
Reminding Matt that he kept his end of their past deal. Matt questions whether Fisk is manipulating the system to secure the election. Fisk doesn't deny it but claims his goal is simple: a better future for New York.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
Fisk pointedly asks why Matt abandoned Daredevil. Matt confesses that after Foggy's death and nearly killing Poindexter, he felt unworthy of the mantle. Surprisingly, Fisk understands. Matt offers him the benefit of the doubt. If Fisk is truly reformed, he won't interfere. But if he steps out of line, Matt will act. Fisk smirks, then with quiet confidence he warns that once he's mayor,
There will be consequence.
all vigilantes will be driven out, including Matt. They lock eyes, understanding each other perfectly. Without another word, Matt gets up and leaves, knowing the battle is far from over. As the New York City mayoral race nears its end, Wilson is leading. Matt, on another date with Heather Glenn, hears the announcement that Wilson has won. Surprised, Glenn asks how Matt knew.
Good ears, remember?
He casually mentions his good ears, and how he overheard the news from a restaurant nearby. Matt quickly pulls Glenn after sensing danger, leaving her even more surprised. Wilson and his team celebrate the win, but Vanessa watches from the shadows, her smile strained. Later, Wilson confronts her, sensing the distance between them.
I know about Adam, Vanessa.
He calmly tells her he knows about her affair with Adam.
Do not kill him.
Vanessa begs him not to hurt her lover, to which Wilson responds that he's no longer that man. He promises not to pursue him, though the tension remains. As Wilson's supporters cheer, Matt shares a brief kiss with Glenn before she heads home. Left alone, he listens as Wilson delivers his victory speech, promising to stand with New Yorkers no matter what.
I love New York.
Meanwhile, in a dimly lit alley, a hooded artist paints a striking mural of Fisk, one side in white, the other in shadow, symbolizing the duality of the kingpin. Matt walks through the crowded streets, feeling Fisk's presence. High above, Fisk stands on a rooftop, surveying the city now firmly in his grasp. On New Year's, Episode 2 opens with Wilson Fisk addressing the city, warning they're on a powder keg.
We offer our deepest regards.
He vows to make New York a safe, police-controlled state, free of vigilantes like Daredevil, Spider-Man, and Punisher.
This the man?
Meanwhile, Matt Murdock listens intently, sensing the crowd's divided reactions.
Cosita que hacer, se me fue el tiempo.
In a subway, Hector Ayala intervenes as Nikki Torres is attacked. A fight ensues, ending with Shanahan falling onto the tracks.
NYPD!
Powell, revealing their NYPD, arrests Ayala immediately. The BB report hits the streets, uncovering Fisk's secrets and gauging public opinion on Daredevil's disappearance. Sheila Rivera outlines Fisk's new mayoral duties as he reflects on his father's old political dreams. She stresses the importance of optics, especially for his anti-vigilante agenda. Fisk, unfazed by public scrutiny, dismisses concerns, but Rivera warns that Vanessa's absence could damage his image. Fisk insists they both have crucial roles to play and asks Rivera to give Vanessa space. He knows perception is everything, but Fisk also knows Vanessa is working on something just as significant in the shadows. At the 15th Precinct Police Station, Matt Murdock overhears Hector Ayala being pressured and brutalized in interrogation. Accused of killing a cop, Ayala insists it was an accident. He was protecting someone. Listening to his heartbeat, Murdock confirms he's truthful. Despite Ayala's protests about affording a lawyer, Murdock offers to represent him. Ayala, surprised, realizes his would-be lawyer is blind. On his way to Brooklyn, Fisk listens to his advisors when their car halts in traffic. Frustrated, he steps out to investigate and finds a massive hole in the road. Calling over the DOT foreman, Fisk orders immediate repairs. Onlookers gather as cameras capture the moment. Seizing the opportunity, Fisk turns the situation into a display of leadership, presenting himself as the mayor who takes action, earning public support with a simple yet powerful gesture of authority.
What it's worth, I think he might be innocent.
Murdock tells Kirsten and Cherry about Ayala's case, determined to represent him despite their objections. Kirsten argues they're overloaded, and Cherry warns defending a cop killer means opposing the entire police force. Still, Murdock convinces Kirsten. He then asks Cherry to find Ayala's wife and a subway witness, sensing inconsistencies. Murdock and Kirsten stand by Ayala in court, being witnessed by numerous police officers.
Who killed my partner?
Prosecutor Benjamin Hochberg swiftly requests no bail, and Judge Cooper grants it without hesitation.
People's motion is granted.
Murdock argues Ayala's military service and community ties, but Cooper dismisses him, deeming the charges too severe. The case isn't starting well.
You can kill it here.
Amid the political storm, young journalist B.B. Urich digs into Fisk's past, determined to uncover the truth. She meets Daniel Blake and secures a private interview with Fisk at City Hall.
BB.
Urich, aware of the police's silence on his history, presses for answers. Fisk, intrigued, acknowledges her persistence, learning she is Ben Urich's niece. She reveals Commissioner Gallo's impending retirement, warning that if the force walks out, he could lose the city.
About Mrs. Fisk?
When she asks about Vanessa, Fisk abruptly ends the meeting, leaving Urich more convinced than ever that there's more to his story than meets the eye. At the Inkwell gathering space, Heather Glenn introduces her book Live Without Fear,
like the book says,
a guide to confronting trauma. A distressed client interrupts,
Taking any new clients?
seeking guidance, and she offers her email for follow-up. Later, she's unexpectedly approached by Buck Cashman, a close associate of Mayor Fisk. At Shanahan's funeral, Fisk encounters Gallo, who makes no effort to hide his contempt. Aware of Fisk's past, Gallo questions why he traded his criminal empire for a mayor's seat with less power and wealth.
Are we gonna fix this issue?
When Fisk asks how they can work together, Gallo refuses, making it clear he wants Fisk out. He accuses Fisk of seeking public approval, insisting it's too late for redemption.
See you around, Kingpin.
Kirsten and Cherry urge Soledad Ayala to attend her husband's trial.
An NYPD cop is dead.
She asks for honesty about his chances, and Cherry admits that killing a cop puts him in serious trouble. He reassures her that Murdock and Kirsten are his best shot. While they talk, Cherry retrieves Ayala's suit for the trial, only to discover the White Tiger suit and the Amulet of Power. Murdock goes on a date with Glenn, but it is soon interrupted by a call from Cherry, who informs him about what he found at Ayala's house. Frustrated, Murdock confronts Ayala at Rikers Island about his secret life as White Tiger. Ayala insists he wasn't in costume that night, but Murdock warns the truth will come out. Murdock, however, sees trouble ahead, especially as he notices Ayala suffering beatings from both inmates and guards. At City Hall, Gallo hands in his retirement notice, confident that an understaffed police force will spell trouble for Fisk. But Fisk has other plans. Sliding a photo across the table, Gallo's secret lover and child, he makes his message clear without saying a word. Smirking, Fisk rejects all police demands and forces Gallo to stay. Gallo, trapped, concedes but warns Fisk to be careful what he wishes for. With Ayala's vigilantism exposed, Murdock meets Hochberg and Cooper, arguing to keep White Tiger's identity out of court.
It suggests a pattern of behavior that
Hochberg claims it shows a pattern, but Cooper sides with Murdock, barring the evidence, frustrating Hochberg. Meanwhile, on the BB report, fear is creeping back into the streets. Murdock and Cherry discuss Ayala's case.
Ghosts are hard to find, Maddie.
But the key witness remains missing. Cherry suggests Murdock is too personally invested due to his past, but Murdock insists it's about justice. Still, without proof, Ayala's truth may not be enough. Determined to uncover the truth, Murdock takes matters into his own hands. He discreetly follows Powell through the city, knowing the officer is also searching for the missing witness. As Powell moves through dark alleys and crowded streets, Murdock follows and phases in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to act. Right there, Glenn calls, saying she's meeting a client, canceling tonight's plans.
We appreciate your discretion.
Indeed, the client turns out to be none other than Fisk and Vanessa, seeking couples therapy. She asks them what brought them in, and Vanessa explains how, when Fisk disappeared, she had to step in and manage their business. Fisk shares how a close encounter with a vigilante made it hard for him to stay connected with his wife. Vanessa admits the business flourished under her, but now, with Fisk's return, she's unsure of their future. Fisk, looking genuinely concerned, says he doesn't want to lose her, hoping counseling can bring them back together. Meanwhile, in the shadows, using his enhanced hearing, Matt overhears Powell and tracks down the witness, Torres, alerting Cherry as well. He urges Torres to testify for Ayala, but Torres is too scared to act. As the police approach, Murdock sends him to find Cherry, staying behind to confront Powell and Williams, who attack him. Matt takes the beating, but when Powell threatens him with a gun, Matt snaps, brutally overpowering them and knocking them out. Blood stains the apartment as Matt screams, overwhelmed by the pain of being forced to act. In a holding cell, episode 3 opens where Murdock meets Ayala, bruised and worn. Ayala reminisces about his home in Puerto Rico, the peaceful beach, and the coqui frogs that serenade the locals at every sunset. Feeling hopeless, he doubts he'll ever return. Murdock promises to get him out and reunite him with his family. On the other side, tension between the 5 families escalates, sparking a full gang war. Things reach a boiling point after a truck hijacking turns into a double homicide at the Red Hook port. Meanwhile, the BB report highlights public concern over the city's rising evil deeds without vigilantes' presence. Over breakfast, Wilson and Vanessa Fisk discuss business. While Vanessa refuses to sit idly, Fisk has bigger ambitions. Sheila Rivera updates him on the port incident,
Hijacking gone wrong.
but he remains unfazed. Vanessa argues that without their control, the 5 families will tear each other apart.
Let them kill each other.
Fisk welcomes the chaos, but Vanessa warns, whoever survives will eventually come for him. Before the trial, Powell confronts Murdock, threatening to expose their past clash and his interference.
You're a blind lawyer who can fight.
But Murdock fires back, accusing Powell of witness tampering, a far worse crime. Powell backs down. Meanwhile, Cherry hides key witness Nikki in a safe house, keeping him steady with enough drugs for court. As Ayala's trial begins, prosecutor Benjamin Hochberg calls Powell to testify. Powell claims Ayala attacked him and Officer Shanahan without reason, leading to Shanahan's death.
Sir Shanahan see much action then.
Hochberg portrays Shanahan as a noble officer dedicated to keeping the city safe. During cross-examination, Murdock presses Powell,
Meaning you and your partner were alone on the platform.
making him reaffirm that he and Shanahan were alone on the subway platform when Ayala allegedly attacked. Under oath, Powell insists they weren't meeting an NYPD informant named Nikki Torres. However, Murdock overhears a cop with a Punisher logo tattoo quietly saying,
Torres cannot testify.
"We can't let Torres testify." A chilling realization settles in. Torres is in danger. Speaking of Torres, Cherry and Forrest work together to get him safely to the courthouse so he can testify for Ayala. Anticipating interference, Cherry acts as a decoy, leading Powell on a wild chase while Tam discreetly transports Torres. Their plan works and Torres arrives just in time. Murdock quickly takes his statement, but under pressure, Torres cracks. He admits to being a police informant after a drug-related arrest but denies being on the subway the night of the attack.
No?
Murdock, frustrated, tries to push him into telling the truth, but Hochberg and Judge Cooper shut him down.
Well, what's it gonna be, Mr. Murdock?
With no paper trail and a key witness too scared to testify, Murdock is forced to withdraw Torres. The case is slipping away and Matt's frustration is clear. Without Torres, the defense has nowhere left to turn.
These are the headlines splashed across the front.
Elsewhere, Buck Cashman meets with members of the five families, pushing for a truce. He orders Luca and his tracksuit mafia to pay Victor $1.8 million in restitution for the hijacking. Luca refuses, demanding Fisk handle it himself. Cashman smirks, correcting him. He doesn't work for the mayor, but the man. At the office, Murdock vents to Kirsten and Cherry about Torres backing out. With no other choice, Ayala must testify. During therapy, Fisk questions Vanessa about sending Cashman to handle the five families. He admires her effort to keep peace but insists chaos is necessary for control. Vanessa suspects he's punishing her for her past affair.
Thank you for your patience.
Their session takes a turn when Glenn unexpectedly arrives.
When would you say you're at the 168th Street subway station?
On the stand, Ayala insists he only stepped in to stop Powell and Shanahan from beating Torres, never intending harm. Shanahan's death, he claims, was a tragic accident. Murdock shifts the narrative, emphasizing Ayala's instinct to protect others. Before Kirsten can stop him, he reaches into his briefcase and lifts Ayala's white tiger mask high for all to see.
No, are you the vigilante known as the White Tiger?
Gasps ripple through the courtroom as Murdock boldly reveals Ayala's identity, forcing the jury to see him not as a criminal, but as a hero. Cooper halts the trial, furious at Murdock for exposing Ayala's secret. Murdock defends himself, citing witness tampering. Cooper allows proceedings, but Hochberg warns Murdock the DA's office won't forget this move.
He's Puerto Rico.
On the streets, people whisper that Ayala, being Puerto Rican, might not get a fair trial. Ayala confronts Murdock, upset that White Tiger's identity wasn't his to reveal. Murdock insists it was necessary to keep him out of prison but warns he must give up vigilantism if acquitted. Ayala resists, but Murdock, speaking from experience, assures him he won't miss it. With Ayala's identity exposed, Murdock and Kirsten call on civilians and even officers who were once saved by White Tiger to testify.
He intervened.
Hochberg counters, arguing that Ayala's past heroics don't erase the fact that he killed a cop.
Real heroes don't need to hide.
The tension in the courtroom is high as the jury deliberates. Finally, the verdict is announced. Ayala is found not guilty on all counts.
Not guilty.
Relief washes over Ayala and Murdock. Seeing the news of Ayala's acquittal, Fisk turns to Daniel Blake and orders him to set up another meeting with B.B. Urich.
Your friend, the journalist B.B.
Later, Murdock invites Heather Glenn to his place to celebrate, reminiscing about how he and Foggy Nelson kept a whiskey bottle for victories. Proof that sometimes the system actually works.
Here's to a man who cooks.
Fisk gives Urich an interview, calling Ayala's acquittal a failure of justice.
A murder.
When Urich reminds him it was the jury's decision, Fisk insists the system is flawed and vigilantes remain a threat.
These vigilantes.
Meanwhile, Ayala, back in his White Tiger suit, hits the streets to help, but is suddenly ambushed. He's shot in the head by an unknown gunman and vanishes, his vest marked with the Punisher's skull insignia. Hector Ayala's remains are collected immediately after the post-mortem as episode 4 begins. Matt Murdock arrives, seeking answers about his client's death. He's told Ayala was shot at close range, yet no casing was found.
I see my uncle, Hector Ayala.
Angela Del Toro demands to see her uncle, but Murdock gently holds her back.
They put a bullet through his head.
Convinced the NYPD is behind it, she fumes. Matt urges patience. Justice will come. In the dark train tunnels, a mysterious masked man carries a body. He's the Wall Street mural artist. At a nightclub, B.B. Urich and Daniel Blake are hanging out, but Blake is ready to leave, citing his early work schedule. Urich jokes that Fisk is working him too hard, but Blake admires his boss and mentions a meeting with Clean Green Haulers to discuss reducing garbage output. Urich points out union contracts, but Blake assures him Fisk has a plan. Meanwhile, two cops apprehend a talkative man while sharing boxes of butter toffee and caramel. Matt, reflecting on his security failure for his previous client, gets a call from Kirsten offering a new case. They need to repay Madison and ask Matt to meet Leroy Bradford in detention. During a tense therapy session, Heather Glenn pushes the Fisk couple to confront what they've been avoiding. She turns to Vanessa, pressing her about Adam, what drew her to him. Fisk stiffens, clearly unsettled. He refuses to discuss Adam, calling it betrayal. Vanessa counters, saying Fisk was gone, and she had no idea if he'd return. She admits she was captivated by Adam's artistry. Fisk, however, reveals he spoke with Adam, though he insists it was just a conversation.
We had a dialogue.
Neither claims to know where Adam is now. The real question lingers, are they staying together or walking away?
I'd love to speak to Vanessa alone for a moment.
As they reflect, Heather pulls Vanessa aside and gently asks if she feels safe in her marriage. She suspects Fisk could be abusive. Vanessa smiles, unfazed. She assures Heather that while Fisk is capable of extreme things, he would never harm her. Leroy Bradford lands in jail for stealing caramel corn, specifically 5 boxes of fiddle faddle from a bodega. Murdock visits the detention center to discuss his case. The evidence is overwhelming: security footage, witnesses, everyone knows he did it. Yet, Bradford insists he's innocent and refuses to accept any jail time, demanding probation instead.
Blind man!
Loud and clear.
His stubbornness frustrates Murdock,
Morning, Sophia.
but he convinces Sophia to reduce the sentence to 10 days.
Bradford can have 10 days.
Afterward, Murdock runs into Powell and directly accuses him of murdering Ayala in retaliation. Powell denies it and Murdock listens carefully. His heartbeat doesn't waver. Powell is telling the truth. Fisk and his team arrive at Red Hook Pier, unveiling his grand plan to rebuild the port and boost New York City's industry. Sheila Rivera warns of bureaucratic red tape and rising gang violence, but Fisk remains unfazed, instructing her to push forward step by step. Meanwhile, Buck Cashman updates Fisk on the 5 families, warning that their growing chaos won't end until a leader is either arrested or eliminated. Fisk listens carefully but doesn't respond immediately, his mind already calculating the next move. He knows that to reshape the city, sometimes order must rise from the ashes of disorder.
They will die.
Murdock tells Bradford his sentence was reduced, but Bradford isn't pleased.
You just don't get it, do you?
He stole out of desperation after losing his benefits. Murdock realizes the system traps people in cycles of poverty and punishment.
You're right.
Spending more money locking Bradford up than the caramel corn was even worth. As Fisk attends a school choir performance, Blake comes across the BB Report article about Fisk's recycling project, which accused him of union busting, the same one he had told Urich about. He informs Rivera, who warns him to stay quiet and let her handle it. Meanwhile, Fisk applauds the children's performance, but his frustration lingers. He's not used to this kind of scrutiny and can't wait to leave. After the event, Rivera cancels a meeting and tells Fisk about the article calling him Mayor Garbage. Annoyed, he heads to a Latvian cultural center for Heritage Day. Another choir, another language, more frustration.
Mayor Garbage! Is that it?
Fisk erupts, demanding to know who leaked the information.
It was me.
Blake steps up, admitting his mistake and accepting any punishment. He insists he still believes in Fisk and will support him no matter what.
So you're right to fire me or punish.
Impressed by Blake's loyalty, Fisk spares him and Rivera but delivers a stern warning: there won't be a second chance. His message is clear: loyalty is valued, but another slip-up won't be forgiven.
Do you understand?
The tension lingers as they both absorb the weight of his words.
Sorry, sir.
Meanwhile, a new mural appears on the streets, Muse's name beside a white tiger with eyes in its wings. At the same time, the BB Report slams Fisk over the city's growing garbage problem. Murdock arrives at the scene where Ayala died to investigate. Using his heightened senses, he discovers the bullet casing that killed Ayala. Feeling it with his hands, since he cannot see, he senses something unusual. Following his instincts, he continues his search, taking an elevator to the basement of a certain building. Through underground tunnels, he arrives at a familiar place, only to be abruptly attacked by Frank Castle, the Punisher, at his hideout. Murdock reveals the bullet casing, marked with his skull symbol, suggesting that Ayala was killed by a police officer who idolizes the Punisher. Murdock questions why Castle refuses to use his skills to help people.
Thank you for your service.
But Castle responds that he already tried,
But I do not have time!
and being a hero never suited him. As Murdock turns to leave, Castle stops him, claiming that deep down, Murdock wants his permission to go after those responsible for Ayala's murder. Castle then presses on Murdock's guilt, bringing up Foggy Nelson, the friend Murdock failed to save.
Say his name about it!
Though Murdock insists it's not about him, Castle points out that he won't even say Foggy's name. He accuses Murdock of hating himself for failing Nelson, saying the guilt is eating him alive.
That's why I do what I do.
Overwhelmed, Murdock finally lashes out, breaking down in tears. Castle, in a rare moment of sympathy, admits that he still hears his son's voice every day, and that's why he does what he does. Murdock insists that justice has already been served, that the system did its part.
Goodbye, Frank.
Over dinner, Fisk senses Glenn question Vanessa's if she felt safe around him.
She asked if you felt safe with me.
She admits she feels safe, but wonders if she should.
Should I?
Reflecting on his unforgiving father, Fisk struggles to restore what's lost. Vanessa insists she's changed.
People change.
Fisk agrees that she is even more extraordinary. After a long day, Murdock returns home and vents to Glenn about his frustration with the system, especially how Bradford was sent to Rikers Island for a petty theft. He admits to feeling like he's fighting an unwinnable battle. When Glenn asks about his day, Murdock listens patiently before she shares her struggles with a couple in crisis. They enjoy some time together, but as Glenn falls asleep, Murdock sneaks into his secret hideaway and practices with his old billy club, still determined to fight. Meanwhile, Fisk enjoys a quiet dinner at an underground warehouse.
Mayor Fisk.
While Adam remains locked away in a dark, cold dungeon. Fisk's anger simmers beneath the surface. He never forgives, especially when it comes to messing with his wife. While all this unfolds, Muse, the creepy masked figure, drags an unconscious man to his hideout, draining his blood for his next piece of art. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel if you haven't and let us know where you're watching from in the comment section. Your support is greatly appreciated, my dear friend. Feel free to click on the next video. Thank you.